We are here today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about how bad is it? How bad is it? Because a lot of events have been unfolding throughout the weekend, and the markets, the stock market, obviously the crypto market is trading 24 hours, but the overall markets had no chance to react to that. So we will see today how Europe opens, how the US opens, how other Asia opens, and so on, and how the oil price is going to develop. But let's break it down one by one, what has happened and what is going to happen. And for that, make sure to stay all the way through so that we can also discuss some altcoins and your favorite topics. So let's go. So, good morning to each and every one of you. We are here in the Bitcoin chart with coffee in hand, deep sip of coffee, because we are down quite a bit. But if you remember the flag from, I think, 5 days ago or so that we drew in, not much has changed other than we came from here over the weekend, or over this longer weekend, because there was a public holiday in many countries of the world. We came all the way back basically from this midline, and then we dropped down to 98,000 roughly. But now we've already recovered, and it's only a 3% dip. So whatever is happening, the market is brushing it off quite quickly, okay? So we are basically moving in this formation. We're bouncing right now. So upside question mark, and I will show you why this is likely happening. But let's first look into what's going on, right? So after the US have entered the conflict between Israel and Iran, by launching some bombers equipped with very heavy bunker buster bombs, whatever, going through nuclear sites and basically getting them exploded. The US did not do any further action, but now Iran responded and wants to close down the Strait of Hormuz. And the problem with that is that would be the first time since 1972. And if that's approved basically by Iran's security body, whatever government, then 20 million barrels of oil per day would be impacted by that step, right? So that would, if they were to close it, that would put really big pressure on the oil price to the upside, and that's no good for several countries, especially the ones that are dependent on oil, not the ones that are exporting oil, but the ones that are building out of oil. And that would actually drive inflation. So could have Powell even hold back more if that was to happen, right? Donald Trump also tweeted We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So basically, it sounds a little bit like, hey, two kids are fighting in the sand pit, or like in the sand over some sand castles, and then the father comes along and just evens the ground. It's like, okay, now you can start all over again. No need to fight, right? That's what this post sounds like. On the other hand, I mean, it is a special event because the US has actually bombed 3 sites in the Iran. But also showing superiority and saying, hey, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna go to peace, or are we supposed to bomb more sites, like more things, more military, right? Do you want war or not, right? So, and I think the fact that the US has just done this chirurgically, like a surgeon, yeah, and retreated, is why the market will brush this off very, very quickly, as long as we do not have further escalation in that area, and the Strait of Hormuz will be decisive for that. Because if they will close it, then there might be further escalation, more on the economic side first, but then also more pressure to reopen it. I don't have it. I think I don't have it up here, but so we have here CNBC, and the main topic is, of course, exactly that, what we discussed. Oil at $100 per barrel, US role in Iran, Israel fight fuels market jitters. Why the global markets are brushing off US strikes on Iran. So now the US calls on China to prevent Iran from closing Strait of Hormuz and disrupting global oil flows. So China has a chance now to also do something great in this conflict and go in and say, hey, we are making it so that the Strait of Hormuz keeps open. It would be good for China as more of a consumer of oil, but it would probably not be as good for Russia. So Russia might have an interest in the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Overall, if this leads to everyone working together, like US and China and so on, working together to get this done, and that could be really bullish for the markets, right, in the end. So European markets are set to start the week lower as Middle East crisis worsens, but I have a feeling that the markets are brushing it off very, very, very quickly, right? So let's check out the oil price. We see the oil price rose quite a bit over the last weeks. Today, actually, it's a little bit lower than before. So this is the weekly chart. If we open the daily chart, we do see, okay, the last days, definitely when this conflict spiraled out, have resulted in higher oil prices, which is up by 35% over the last, what is that? Over the last 36 days, no, 50 days, sorry, 50 days, roughly. We will see there is a big fat resistance here encountered. So we will see how it unfolds. In my opinion, this oil price depends on how this conflict goes, if Strait of Hormuz closes really or not. And then we'll see. But that also will have an impact on everything else, like Fed decision, economics pricing. That, like, oil has a high impact in my opinion. So we will see how that plays out. For Bitcoiners though, very importantly, to look also, or to use a couple of memes to strengthen my point here. And by the way, guys, if you enjoy these updates, then make sure to smash up the like button. So we had this, like, we had just had 112k or 111k. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I buy? Now we had dropped to even 98k. Everyone's like, I'm not buying that shit. That's actually not quite true, because I mean, people are buying it. The question is only who, right? Are you selling your coins to Michael Saylor? That's the question. Yeah. Every single time this happens, the price drops. No one wants to buy the dip. But that's actually where we have to go a little bit against our feeling. Then also, this is how the altcoin market feels. Yeah, that's how it feels. Yeah, I will show you in a second why it feels like that, but that is how the portfolio feels from time to time. And then here's my favorite one. We need to play it a little bit.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win. We're going to win.
Mr. President, we're tired of winning. Please stop. Yeah, it's too much. Okay, but enough with the shenanigans. Enough with the memes. Because going back to all seriousness, because I want to pull this up again. I did discuss this last week when it started, but I want to show this to each and every one of you again. Even already in a 10-day scheme, most events led to BTC recovering, except this one, right? Which made absolutely no sense, but now we know better. But you see here, for example, the US Iran escalation in 2020. After 10 days, gold BTC was 12% plus. The election challenges, 19% plus. US regional banking crisis, 25% plus. In all other cases, yes, a little bit in the red. But now look at the 60-day return. And if I pull this up here, there is not a single scenario where Bitcoin is not positive after 60 days after conflict. Not a single one of all of these. The yen carry trade is actually the one where it was the lowest, after all that time. So there we had Bitcoin going sideways for an extensive period of time, because if you see it here, there was not a single day where it went negative, but in the end it was only 3%. In all other crises, even when we were down 25%, later we were up 21% already after 60 days. There is not a single event where Bitcoin doesn't react well. We see overall markets are brushing off crisis, but Bitcoin is actually the most crisis resistant one in the short run. We see it here, S&P 500, slightly positive but also negative in that scenario. Gold slightly positive, negative in the US election scenario, but doesn't have to mean anything. With minus 1% can be normal market fluctuation. Bitcoin overall straight great, right? And it's not that much cherry picked, because you have all years here, basically 2020, 22, 23, 24, right? You have all years here. Bitcoin is positive after 60-day returns, and that's not any spreadsheet or so. This is actually what BlackRock uses to educate their investors on Bitcoin and how well it does in response to crisis, right? So we need to keep in mind that not only we are seeing this is what BlackRock investors are seeing, okay? So very, very important here. Now, let's honor some subscribers here of the channel and welcome the chat. Guys, make sure to smash up the like button if you enjoy the info. Also, be subscribed if you want to see more of that. and be around for the live stream. We have Trucking Hank in the house. Good morning, my man. We have Jonas. Good morning to you as well. And we have Bodo here, GM. All good to see you. Overall, I want to thank each and every one of you. The rare hodlers we have now reached mint 50. By the way, bottom right, you see the red daredevil Nick. As the newest one, of course, as always, I will clean it up at some point if you are not subscribed anymore, so no problem, that's your choice, but then we will remove some mints from the screen. Overall, that means we have 49 sub 100 mints left. The number is shrinking, so you'll better watch out for the mints. And there are some great mints in there still. Now we are going to the 51. There will be still some juicy mints. So Roman Fry, also good morning to you. Good to see you. Good to have you here on the screen, and on the stream, and let's go back to the topic. So now the question is, let me see what we actually have here. Oh yeah, right. So someone made a comparison here from the market completely resetting before we go higher. So current dump looks exactly like March 2020. Back then it triggered a full reset and then a 1000x alt rally. Those who spotted it early walked away with millions. Here's what's happening. So we're not going to read all the thread, but we will look at these comparisons. And by the way, so why do I pull this up? Not because I think this is a magnificent comparison, because if you can see, like, half of the other chart is drawn in. But I want to show you that we see these charts in a misleading way too often, and nothing of that happens, and then the creators of these charts don't go back and correct it. So what we see here is basically, you can see it a little bit, we basically have an A, B, C type of a correction and then a pump. That is normal crypto behavior at many places. Bitcoin or the crypto market forms such ABC corrections, and all this person did was finding an ABC correction right now where we have A, B, C, which we, by the way, said also last week, and it's not even finished the ABC correction, and deducting from that, wow, okay, because we have an ABC correction in a crisis, now we have to also have the same result. That is not the case, right? Just because you have an ABC correction, you don't have to follow the same as whatever random ABC correction of the 15 years. That's just not the case. So all these posts are as much noise, I call noise on that, as these situations are as well, right? As there's way too much noise. This and that setup is happening, and therefore it's going to be 1000x the same way. It's never the same way. And we don't know exactly when things happen. The fact of the matter is that altcoins are getting brutally wrecked by Bitcoin right now, as Bitcoin is the main driver at the moment, and this is Bitcoin dominance, and you see it already here on the monthly chart. We are in a bull market for Bitcoin dominance. That means we are technically in a bear market for altcoins against Bitcoin, and that continues until we significantly and decisively turn this around, and we will only know when we are already in the middle of an alt season. So could such a setup as this other guy showed be correct? Yes, it could, but I think it doesn't matter for us as much as smaller news and so on. They are nice to know when Nubank or whatever adopts Bitcoin, and just, it's always like breaking news, it's happening. Yeah, we know. The only thing that's happening, in my opinion, is this, right? Money printer, and the correlation of that or the non-correlation of that. And we just see that, and we discussed also that Bitcoin was following M2 perfectly until now, and now it seems that we are coming into a little bit of a smaller correlation phase, especially in these 80-day offset, right? So we see it here in this table. I don't know if you can read it, but I'm going to read it out for you. So we had all the time in these M2 charts a very bad correlation in the 30-day. And the correlation is still high in the 60 to 100 or even 1 or 2 years. Because as we discussed before, on the short term, we have a weak correlation because there you have swings in Bitcoin that might be influenced through other aspects, but on the long run, Bitcoin still follows M2, as we see here, for example. And if you would see the pattern behavior between the M2 and the real Bitcoin one isn't even that bad in correlation. It just hasn't here, for example, followed all the way the pump. And it seems that we are going to do, at least on the short note, something similar, where Bitcoin is not that highly correlated to the M2. But it will probably at some point catch up as it does here, right? So after this non-correlation phase, we did catch up, and then we moved along with it again. So if, and this is where I combine the theories, if the global situation unfolds that there is no further escalation in the war, the Strait of Hormuz maybe gets closed for a couple of days but then reopened, so the global turmoil, it goes into peace treaty, or let's say in a no attack agreement, whatever, right? In a truce, sorry, that's the right word, in a truce. Then I would say we just pump up and follow M2 more. Then if the uncertainty remains, despite money printing, Bitcoin goes a little bit sideways and then it comes up. So yes, news is noise, but on the short term, it has the power to influence. And this is what we did just show, to show that this is not contradicting. This is what we showed here. In the short term, these events have impact on the markets, but in the long run, they do not have, especially not on Bitcoin. Okay, so you see within 60 days, all is fine. And if we go on these M2 and we see, okay, but that's also like 60, maybe 90, maybe something day period, but then we do go back to correlation, right? So keep that in mind with the M2. Don't throw M2 money supply front run out of the window. We have to see that we have really, I mean, Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at almost 102,000, okay? We did basically backtest 100,000. With potentially the Strait of Hormuz closing, with an unknown outcome of, hey, how is China behaving and how is the US behaving in this conflict, without the unknown of oil driving inflation, with Jerome Powell just not rate cutting again, with Russia-Ukraine still going on, with all this global uncertainty going on, with the economics not being great in Europe, economy not being that great in the US yet, with the tariffs going on, with the yen carry trade and so on going on, all this uncertainty, all this turmoil, and Bitcoin is at 102,000 US dollars per coin. Wow. If we would have said that a year ago, people would have said, oh, the bear market just ended, right? Because of that. I mean, look at the monthly on this. We do basically on the monthly, we just got rejected on this 105,000 resistance. Yeah, basically, where we also closed this other candle. Of course, it takes time to go through it. Maybe even this monthly candle will close like this in 7 days. Who knows, right? But that doesn't mean that we cannot have a big fat green candle after that. Yeah. Don't forget, this is our long-term setup. This setup will very likely lead to higher prices. Inverse head and shoulders, breakout, retest, continuation. If you look at from this zoom, oh, sorry for that. If you look from this zoom, you can see it, right? It's not that big of a red candle right now. It can also turn into a green candle, still break above this resistance, and then in the next month we are flying. The problem, or what I want to bring here, is this is all putting together the pieces of a global story of news, M2, Bitcoin fundamentals, Bitcoin TA setup, on-chain metrics and so on, indicators, put it together to a probably, but we don't know, right? Okay, so that is what we're doing. Just to recap that quickly, our TSI says we are in a bull market. We're still in a bull market. That's what the TSI says. The RSI says we are not even overbought in this current situation. We're back to not overbought. The stochastic RSI on the monthly says bull cross and bullish momentum unfolding still. No cross imminent here, back down. The M2 chart says higher, okay? In whatever sense. Like if we choppy sideways, doesn't matter, higher. Higher is the bottom line of M2. It can take a while. Okay, now we looked at BTC dominance. It's why altcoins are getting wrecked. The DXY is red. That's good for crypto. Okay, we have talked about, hey, Mewtwo, what's going on? The DXY is falling, continuing to fall. We had some buying up. This is the monthly chart. Looking at the weekly, we see still here's our bearish retest. So we should expect to have this fall more, right? The US wants a weaker dollar. They are actively going for it. Everyone in the world wants a weaker dollar right now. They are going for it. So we will see how this is going. And then gold. This is something that I wanted to show you as well. Let me get that very on point because it's important now to not have this parabola wrong. So gold, question mark, right? The pink line is Bitcoin, but let's take this away from now, for now. Gold is in a parabolic move since October 22, and really going nuts since February 24, right? But this move ramped up, and it's really a parabolic move. At some point, this parabola will crash, right? Or will break. And then the question is what happens next. But then this move is not escalating anymore. And that is, in my opinion, where the risk of scenario, or where the risk is turned off, meaning that risk of assets are not going to be the shit anymore, and people move to the risk on assets, which is tech stocks, crypto, altcoins, whatever, right? So I would say this parabola breaking at some point could be the indicator. However, this is a weekly chart. This will take some time to unfold. This could be the point where we say, okay, now people are moving to, where is this? To risk off. We could still bounce here and shoot up, but the parabola is already so steep that probably you're going to see something like this or whatever, like A, B, C, right? It doesn't have to be sharp to the downside. It can also be sideways. Who knows, right? But it's probably coming at some point. Guys, we have 20 people around. Make sure to smash up the like button, be subscribed, notifications on if you like the stuff. Hey, we have Sven in the house. We have Wes in the house. Good morning to you guys as well. So question also, we have the S&P 500 looking at overhead resistance after this bounce. Not quite there, but probably going there in the next days and weeks. This is the weekly chart. Potentially at some point breaking for new highs. We see there are always like extensive periods of time of just upwards move, and then the trend line of this upwards move gets broken, and then there's a longer corrective phase, and then you go up, break the trend, you go up, break the trend, and then maybe that's the phase where like the next go up phase is coming, that, I don't know, looks like this or so, and then you have a trend and you break here, right? So this is, bottom line is, the big crash that is being announced since like, I don't know, let me go to the monthly so we can even see it, right? There are no big crashes anymore like here, right? Like dot-com bubble or Lehman Brothers financial US subprime crisis, right? We don't have these things anymore. Since here, by the way, the paradigm is whatever crisis appears, you are going to print more money to come out of it before it even hits. I mean, if you see 2008 and 2002 dot-com and financial, and then you see here COVID, you see what happened, right? It's not the same. It's just one blip to the downside and then boom, extensive money printing. And that is where the world gets at some point into trouble, and where the Fed is already now between a rock and a hard place. But don't get fooled, because this can go on for much longer, right? This doesn't have to end here in a big crisis like everyone says. Of course, at some point, if I would sit here and make crisis streams, I would first of all have 100 people watching at least. And secondly, I would at some point be able to, because like announcing the crisis for the next like 5 years, at some point I will be right where the big crash comes in, and I will be the one that called it. Like a broken clock calls the right time twice per day, I will be right at some point, right? But I'm not going to do that because I think it's stupid and waste for everyone's time. So I'm just going to sit here and do whatever I think is right. Emery Perez says, good timing to watch Bitcoin fighting on your channel. Great explanation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. NASDAQ, same setup. Broke the trend, corrected now. Overhead resistance, probably going. We will see. Let's go to altcoins. Let's talk altcoins quickly. Altcoins are red again, and not only a little bit. Altcoins are big wrecked again, right? So you get SUI on a 20% discount. You get SPX. I mean, let's not even talk about it. It's one of Murat's favorite meme coins. But you get like everything on 13 to 20% discount if you think that the altcoin season will happen. And I do think it will happen at some point. Then these are good picks, right? Then these are good buys. You see it here also, right? I mean, we are now coming to the lower side for SUI. We don't know how low we will go, but this bounced here off of this, let's say this bump, this previous overhead, massive overhead resistance. I would say could go as low as this support. This is massive support and was some overhead resistance before. Maybe this line that is 180. We are now at 250. That would be still a massive dump. No matter what, I'd say SUI's downtrend is only done once we break this downward sloping overhead resistance, heading to at the moment that would be at 360 or so. That is massive upside. But bottom line here is we are close to where SUI was, or closer to where SUI was in March 24. Okay. SUI being the bigger coins, right? But we do see that SUI likes to make moves with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is gearing up for another move, then yeah, here we see it, right? Bitcoin is pink line, so move together with Bitcoin. This is, by the way, against USDC, so there must be a bigger chart with USDT. There we go. That we can get rid of. That did not happen. There's, by the way, same resistance line. So for SUI, yeah, maybe that's a good area somewhere here to get some SUI if you want to get SUI and if you believe that altcoins are coming back. If not, it's totally fine to be a Bitcoin maxi, because Bitcoin maxis are up 526% since the bear market, right? Many altcoin hodlers are not up anything, right? So it's absolutely fine to be a Bitcoin maxi, absolutely fine. It's also fine to have a Bitcoin overweight and then have some altcoins and hope that that's going to do the trick, which is what I'm doing. I'm more than 50% Bitcoin and some altcoins, okay? Good, back to that. Let's check out some more altcoins here. Let's see how they're doing. By the way, we have Kaya on 20% plus. I don't know why. We have Say up 14% on the week still. Maybe they have pumped before and they just didn't correct all the way. On the day, we do have some movers. One of them being Sonic, previous FTM, as well as Fartcoin. Guys, as long as Fartcoin is doing percentages, the bull market's still on. There's still the degen money going into Fartcoin. Let me just pull up Fartcoin against USDT at KuCoin, or let's pull it actually up at let's pull up a weekly chart and let's take maybe Kraken has more. Where did it launch first? Maybe Gate.io has more chart. Let's see. Well, that might be it. That might be the best that you can get for Fartcoin. Maybe Fartcoin is just compressing until the breakout comes. Yeah. Let's see if there is another chart. There must be another chart that is better than this. BitGet. Oh yeah, BitGet, look at this. BitGet had it early. Yeah, so this, yeah, probably we are going to see something like that, where I think that it could become way lower, but then you have something like this and then a breakout, which would be, by the way, if it just drew it in here, that would be like September, October. Does make kind of sense, right? I'm just speculating here how this chart could unfold. It could be totally different. We have seen it many times. We don't know anything. Whoever tells you that we do know something. Sonic USDT. Let's see, is that the right? That's not the right Sonic. What is the? Let me see quickly what the ticker is for the Sonic. I also have some of this from previously holding FTM back. SUS SUSDT we need. That's the chart. Why is the chart so small? Because it relaunched, there is not the entire history anymore, which is very fortunate for them. Let's see, FTM. That's basically the history before. Yeah, I don't know. Could be anything. Rising channel, I don't even want to see it. So the rest of the market, there are so many coins that I don't know anymore. Still Peanut, Mew, like so many memes still up. Like look at this Peanut, for example, still has a $200 million market cap. That's quite a bit. How's Peanut doing? Let's check out Peanut the squirrel. And then we check out Omi, by the way, because I saw some tears already in the chat. Wow, Peanut. Oh my god. Okay. Peanut did have. Can we? Okay, there we go. Peanut did have some reaction there, but hey, this might be something to observe. Okay. As falling channels usually break to the upside, yeah, usually, not always, but 70% break to the upside. So this could be interesting. Of course, only on the breakout, not here on the lower side. This could be interesting. Let's find Ecomi. OMI US, I'm actually scared to look at it, to be honest. OMI USDT. Oh shit, yeah, that's what I thought. That is what I thought. And this is exactly why I said I wanted to have this range first to confirm and break out and higher highs, because right now the opposite is happening. We have just put in a new cycle low at 0001,797. And lost, at least on the daily. This can still be a fake out, but we've lost this support range by quite a bit. This is what is the drop? That's a 7% drop in the yesterday. Basically the total range of this, which is quite a bit. But this is also, I think this is a good lesson, because just because something dropped 93% doesn't mean it can't drop another 90% or so. It can, right? So at some point, if your $1,000 are only worth $100, they can still go to worth of $10. It's absolutely possible. That is the altcoin game, you know. With Ecomi, looking at this on the weekly, you see it also on the weekly is the same, and the week did close. This is the worst. The week did close below that. So you have a weekly close below that, okay? I would say that now that could, we will see how this unfolds, if it's a fake out or so, but that could open the way down to more price discovery to the downside. Yeah. Yeah. What can I say? There's not much to say. There is not much to say, to be honest. I think the only thing that you can do now is to decide whether Ecomi is still a thing, which in many people's opinion it is, and then wait for the alt season, because nothing, and this was our story all along, nothing is going to happen also to Ecomi and all other altcoins as long as Bitcoin dominance is on this rally path. Nothing is going to happen, okay? So the higher this goes, the more everything, including OMI, will bleed, okay? Or vice versa, if you want to turn it around, because there's a little bit of a chicken and egg discussion. The higher this goes, or the more altcoins bleed, the higher this goes. Or the higher this goes, the more altcoins bleed. I mean, it's a effect that happens at the same time. So Bitcoin goes, let's say, there's a tradable pattern. So traders take out their money from other altcoin trades and put it into Bitcoin to ride the wave. Right? Chicken and egg, doesn't matter. The indicator shows the direction of this trade-off happening, and unless this changes, and we will see when it changes, all other altcoins will bleed over time, right? And that is, but it's not here when people get into position for altcoin season. It's here where people have to be in position, right? So here is right now the time, if you want to profit from an altcoin season, The time to position yourself is right now, or within the next couple of months. Who knows how long this goes until we see the next move in the altcoins, right? We don't know how long this goes. This can go on for another month, 2, 3, who knows? On that note, guys, unfortunately I have to jump. So make sure to smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel, notifications on. I hope you enjoyed the insights of today. And wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. I catch you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one, everyone, and bye.